Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Ramey, and I am a professor and the program coordinator of the Deafblind and Intervenor Studies program at George Brown College. We are also part of the School of Deaf and Deafblind Studies. Today, I am here to share information about our program, and I'm going to share my screen as I have a PowerPoint that I want to have available to everyone. So our program is referred to as C158, the Deafblind and Intervenor Studies Certificate Program. And I will be covering an overview of the program, the curriculum structure, some of the admission requirements, options for graduates in regards to other educational programs following taking the Deafblind and Intervenor Studies program, information around the community sector and the demand for trained qualified interveners, what makes our program different, as well as success indicators to assist students in the program, and attributes of an effective intervener. First of all, we are the only college program in Canada that is training students to work with individuals that are both born deafblind, congenitally deafblind, or who acquire their deafblindness after language and concepts. A few key information points that I want to share is that unfortunately and currently there is a real shortage of trained professional interveners. However, that does play well for graduates of our program as they have a 98% success rate of having a job when finishing the program. The other 2% typically will decide to add other education onto their certificate. As I said earlier, we're the only college program in Canada training students to work with both those born deafblind as well as acquiring their deafblindness. We are a smaller program and only take 25 students per year. This is definitely an advantage in regards to students really get to know their peers, but also work quite closely with their professors, and the professors really get to know each of the students. In this particular program, courses are taught by professors and instructors who are deafblind, deaf, as well as hearing and sighted. All of our faculty are currently working and or volunteering in the field, so the curriculum and the information taught is very current, as well as this really leads to networking opportunities. There are many opportunities for networking within the program, and this starts within the first couple of weeks of the program. We have a number of guest speakers that includes individuals with deafblindness, trained professional interveners, as well as other professionals in the field. We also have a field placement component that happens in second semester, where students are spending 2 days a week in placement, and half of the placement time period is a congenital placement experience, and the other half is an acquired deafblind experience. I want to just talk a little bit about the role of the intervener, as this is often not well known. Intervener's primary role is to be access and to provide that visual, auditory, and environmental information that somebody with a combined loss of vision and hearing cannot access on their own. It really will differ depending on whether you're supporting somebody congenitally deafblind, born deafblind. Many of these individuals may have other disabilities, including physical disabilities, cognitive, but I think the primary issue is that they are only getting partial information regarding visual and auditory information. So therefore, it takes longer to gain information. And so a big part of the intervener's role with this group of people, whether it's children or adults, is teaching skills, concepts, as well as communication. When you think about the role of the intervener with somebody with acquired deafblindness, who acquires their vision and hearing loss after having already formal communication and concepts, it is primarily a communication role, that visual and auditory and environmental information, but also guiding due to the vision loss. One misconception that most people have is that they think deafblindness means no vision and no hearing at all. In fact, only 20% of the people who are deafblind will have none of either of those primary senses, and the other 80% could have partial vision, no hearing, partial hearing, no vision, or a little bit of both. As I said, the role really differs depending on who the intervener is supporting. Interveners work for organizations, school boards, in family homes, as well as individuals' homes. And so it really varies. And deafblindness itself is considered an access disability due to the fact that individuals with deafblindness have significant difficulties accessing information, learning, communication, mobility, and participating in everyday life. This is a 1-year full-time program consisting of 2 semesters. The program starts in September. So semester 1 goes from September till mid-December, and semester 2 is January through to mid-April. It's considered a hybrid program. However, we're primarily in person with a small amount of courses online. The other major component of the program is that field placement experience. So semester 1 consists of 7 courses. It's primarily in person. In this particular semester, 4 of the days are in person, 1 day online. And as I said, there's a variety of courses. So Introduction to Deafblindness, that's an online course. That's where students are really starting to understand what is deafblindness, the various times of onset of deafblindness and the impact of that. There's a lot of virtual guest speakers in this course, so networking is a primary piece. And students are really getting to know the provincial organizations, the national and international. And so it really does get them ready for placement and future work. There's a course on Introduction to Sensory Systems and Human Development. This is an important one. Interveners really need to understand the eye, ear, and central nervous system, as they're often supporting individuals in medical appointments, but also play a key role in program and activity planning. So understanding human development from birth through to seniors is critical. In both semesters, there's 3 key courses that occur. One of them being Acquired Communication Strategies and Intervenor Principles. This is where students are learning about all of those communication methods used by proficient communicators, and includes a variety, as well as the role of the intervener supporting someone who acquires those deafblindness. In Congenital Communication Strategies and Intervenor Principles, this is where students are learning about those less formal communication methods for people who are more emergent communicators. And then American Sign Language in both semesters is a hybrid course. It's co-taught by a deafblind professor and a deaf professor. 1 class a week is in person on campus with the deafblind professor, and the second class is with the deaf professor on Zoom. There's also a Values, Ethics, and Professional Practice course. This is really critical. Interveners are primarily working one-to-one to support individuals with little to no supervision, so having that strong ethical foundation is important. And there's a college English course requirement. That course is one of the courses that can be considered a transfer credit if you already have a college or a university English course. Second semester is a 5-day-a-week semester, 2 days a week in placement. 2 days a week on campus for courses and 1 day online. And there's 7 courses plus the field placement component. Again, you'll see that acquired communication strategies in semester 2 again. In this semester is co-taught by a deaf-blind instructor and a hearing-sighted professor. And this is where the tactile ASL is introduced, as well as pro-tactile communication method. And this is where students are learning, practicing, and being assessed on going from ASL to English and English to ASL. So that translation piece. The Congenital Communication Strategies and Intervenor Principle course happens again in second semester. There are a number of deafblind simulations where students are wearing visual occluders and earplugs and headphones to be able to experience what it could be like to have deafblindness, but also be the intervener. There's a course on Introduction to Sighted Guide. That's a very hands-on course co-taught by an orientation and mobility specialist and a professor. And that gets completed prior to starting field placement. You'll see the American Sign Language course again. We've talked about the 2 placement experiences. Field Seminar is a course that is taken along with the field placement experience, where there's opportunities in a confidential, safe space with your professor and peers to discuss those placement experiences. And then lastly, a course on impact on health and aging. So that course is looking at medical conditions that could be prominent with people with deafblindness, as well as health and wellness, mental health, and the aging component, because a number of positions in the field will be supporting people that are aging, as well as looking at the health and wellness of the intervener. Lastly, an accessibility and program planning course that looks at access, looks at assistive devices, as well as program planning. So it's a very full 2-semester program. Like I talked about, hybrid, but primarily in person. I think the one thing I can say here is that attendance and active participation is critical in this program. Very hands-on field, very little textbooks that are required, but very much activity-based. In regards to admission requirements, the domestic admission requirements are an Ontario secondary school diploma or equivalent, as well as a grade 12 English. That could be college level or university. International students need to have graduated from senior secondary school or equivalent, be 18 years of age or older at time of registration, pay a non-refundable $95 application fee, and provide proof of English proficiency if English is not the first language in your country. In regards to interveners and where they're working, they, first of all, are supporting individuals across the lifespan, birth right through to seniors, and in quite a variety of settings. So this can include preschool settings, educational settings that include elementary and high school, but also post-secondary, organizations, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. It could be within a family home or an individual's home. Also in assisted living and personal care home settings with those people that are aging, and are supporting individuals with deafblindness through all the ages with many, many activities in the community. The role of the interveners are recognized profession in Ontario as well as British Columbia, and is becoming more recognized in other provinces across Canada. We also have graduates of our program that have found jobs in the United States, Italy, and other countries. In Ontario, there are 6 key agencies that support individuals with deafblindness, and that's their primary role. Also, all of the major school boards are supporting children with deafblindness, and most have specific intervener positions and titles. And graduates can also be hired into other related fields and positions. So early childhood centers educational assistant roles and signing educational assistant positions, but also working with agencies that are supporting people with multiple disabilities and especially with specific communication needs. In our field, like I said, tremendous amount of work available. This could be full-time, part-time, and occasional positions. In the adult side of the field, there are a variety of different shift work due to the fact that people with deafblindness require intervener services not just 9 to 5, but throughout an entire day. Also, we have many of our graduates that are working in both aspects of the field, the congenital and the acquired. So they could have a full-time position in one area of the field and work part-time or occasional in the other, but also some decide that they want a couple of part-time positions in both sides of the field. The salaries tend to range anywhere from $24 an hour to $25 an hour, right up to $40 an hour. That higher rate range tends to be school boards, but also within agencies in other positions beyond the role of the intervener. What makes us different, as we already talked about, we're really unique in Canada in regards to our program not being offered at other colleges, but also the fact that we have put a real additional emphasis on health circumstances, as that's become such a predominant area, and that can include mental health, aging, as well as accessibility, and that field placement component that provides experiences in both parts of the field and that opportunity to take what you're learning in the classroom and apply it to real life situations. I think some things that, stand out in regards to those students who have been very successful in the field, that ability to take in information and now relay it back to individuals with deafblindness in their preferred mode, in those variety of communication methods you're learning in the program, I think is key. Having a good working memory as well as a good foundation in English, especially for those individuals that are utilizing oral intervening, finger spelling, large print notes. ASL is not a prerequisite of the program, but we highly recommend that students take 1 or 2 courses in American Sign Language to be able to come in with a start to the knowledge of the language itself and be familiar. I think another thing that's really important for people to consider is your personal space and how this field very much impacts that. We as interveners are working very close with individuals with deafblindness due to that vision loss and need to be in close proximity as well due to hearing loss. This occurs when we're guiding, where the individual is holding on to the back of our arm to be safely guided through the community, but also tactile communication where their hands are on top of ours, where we're signing in a very close sign space, as well as sometimes assisting individuals that are born deafblind with their skills of daily living. Also, being healthy and physically fit is definitely a benefit as we're providing that sighted guide, but also are supporting people that are in wheelchairs using walkers and who are participating in quite a wide variety of activities. When we really think about those interveners that are most effective in the field, that's those individuals that have the ability to work across the age spectrum, children right through to seniors, but also in a variety of environments. I think that willingness to support individuals in their choice of activities is key and very important. And that it's about their decisions, their choices, their needs and preferences. Certainly being flexible to meet the needs of individuals with deafblindness. This is a role where you get to be very creative, where we're constantly having to think outside the box in regards to how do we get information across to someone with that limited or no vision and hearing. So those strong communication skills, but the ability to work with people and work as part of a team. And we already talked about the American Sign Language, but also other communication methods that are used. With individuals with acquired deaf blindness, some of the other communication methods we're teaching is a manual alphabet that's done on the front of the hand with positions, but also large print notes, as well as oral intervening, use of tangible symbols with those people that are born deafblind, touch cues, gestures. So it's quite a number of communication methods our students are learning while they're in the program. We have some graduates that decide to go on to further education after us. So these are a list of some of the options that some students choose. We have had quite a number of graduates do the disability studies through Toronto Metropolitan University online program part-time, but also orientation and mobility specialist, teaching, interpreter, and so on. So I want to thank everyone for viewing this video. Please, if you have further questions or you have interest in the program, my email address is on that PowerPoint, and you can also go onto our website at George Brown College. So thank you very much.